Jesus Christ, this guy is truly a genius. He applied for a welder's job asking for a $20,000 monthly salary. The boss handed him a broken truck axle and said, "If you can fix this without spending a dime, your pay won't be a problem." Without saying much, the man got straight to work. First, he lifted the axle onto a stand and tied both ends with iron chains. Then, he placed a jack on top and began raising it. As the jack pushed up, the chains on both sides tightened. When the tension reached a critical point, he heated the unbroken end with a torch. This allowed the jack to push further, gradually closing the gap in the broken axle. Once the edges were aligned, he quickly tacked them together with a welding machine. Next, he removed the jack and chains, carefully inspecting the axle for bending or deformation. Using his own custom alignment tool, he tested its straightness on rollers. If the tool's pointer didn't wobble much during rotation, it meant the axle was straight enough. After confirming this, he performed a precise weld on the cracked section. What seemed like a simple process required at least a decade of experience to execute so smoothly. Once the welding was complete, he chipped off the slag with a hammer and prepared for the most critical step. He marked 2 small triangles on the welded area and cut them out with a torch. Using a chisel, he removed the top layer of metal and repeated the process on the inner layer, fully separating the triangles into 2 pieces. Flipping them around, he combined the 2 pieces into a larger triangle, temporarily tacking them together with welds. Then, he found a discarded steel plate, traced the shapes of the new triangle and the old metal layer, and cut them out with precision using a torch. Afterward, he ground down the edges of the axle's cuts and the small triangles to ensure a perfect fit. Once satisfied with the alignment, he hammered the parts into place and welded them together, adjusting angles as needed during the process. After welding the triangular plates, he chipped off the slag and polished the surface with a grinder. The same technique was applied to install a hexagonal steel plate. Finally, he welded the inside of the axle, sealed all gaps, and ground the entire surface evenly. To ensure everything was aligned, he checked the bolt holes for proper positioning. Then, he sprayed the welded sections with paint for protection. At this point, the truck axle was fully restored. The boss, impressed by the man's expertise, hired him on the spot. So, what do you think? Did the boss make a good deal or a bad one?